This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Smashed Dust Bowl, and in the north playing as the red Steel Talons, we do indeed have MasterLeaf. And in the south as the purple GDI, it is State of the Union. Alright, we have got our best of 7 on our hands. Is this from a tournament? No, it is not. It's from the challenge thread of Kane's Wrath on GameReplays.org. That's right, anybody can challenge basically anybody else, and I think you can deny challenges, like you don't have to accept them, but if you've been challenged, you can be challenged to basically any sort of matchup. It can be, you know, best of 1 to best of 7. I don't know if anyone would agree to a best of 9, but these two players, I believe they agreed to a random best of 7, so they're going to be playing 7 games, potentially. I don't actually know how many games there are because I asked MasterLeaf to send me dummy replays as well. So I don't know the score. I don't know how many games there are. But I do know this first game is going to be not quite a mirror matchup, but pretty close, as we do have Steel Talons versus GDI. Now, of course, you can play these two factions fairly differently. They're not tremendously different. But I know a lot of people do say, you know, hey, the problem with Zocom and Steel Talons is that people try to play them exactly how they play GDI, and that's just not how it should be done. So we'll have to see exactly what these players have got up their sleeves. Now, MasterLeaf is typically more of a scrin-based player. State of the Union, on the other hand, he loves his GDI factions, he loves his macro-oriented gameplay. But at the same time, MasterLeaf is no scrub. MasterLeaf has played quite a bit with GDI, especially recently, although I don't know how much Steel Talons. And of course, I mean, the faction design in Kane's Wrath isn't exactly asymmetrical, so it's not like these are totally different factions from what they would normally be playing. Harvester number 4 popping on out for State of the Union, and the same thing for MasterLeaf. As you can see, the timings are pretty much on par for both players, nice and crisp. And, you know, going to be going for the early expand, or I guess this is kind of standard timing if you're going for this macro-oriented gameplay. Got those 2 power plants just so you don't go to low power mode, or you don't have to worry about power micro or anything like that. MasterLeaf going to be going for the Pitbull Scout, which I would be surprised if there was no Scout coming out from State of the Union, but he's also going to be going for that blue tip, which means this Harvester may take a little bit of damage from this Pitbull, but with the Pitbull from State of the Union, MasterLeaf may just try to run right past. Actually, he's going to be bringing a second Pitbull along just to make sure that he can win any fight as long as he gets the shots off in the correct order. And State of the Union, he's taking a little bit of damage from this Rifleman squad, so that's pretty annoying that his Pitbulls are showing up on the front lines already a little bit damaged. I don't know that it's actually enough to make a difference. But MasterLeaf still hasn't really gotten a scout off on what his opponent is doing. At this point, he saw one Harvester go into the blue tip, he saw a couple of Pitbulls, and he hasn't been hit with any aggression at this point. So he can kind of infer, based on what he hasn't seen, that this is most likely standard play. This Harvester probably wouldn't be out here if it was something a little bit more risky. State of the Union would more want to keep his Harvesters nice and close to home, or Pitbulls would have hit much sooner, or an attack would have hit much sooner. So he can be relatively sure that State of the Union is doing basically the same thing that MasterLeaf is doing. Although he may have gotten a scout off. Let's take a quick check. Hey, look at that, he did get a scout off. I completely missed that, but MasterLeaf going to be moving his MCV, it looks like. Nope, just getting into the low power mode. Of course, he did go for the 2 refineries right on that natural expansion. He instead decided to skip out on the War Factory, the second War Factory, which is what State of the Union did. And we've got that command post down. Now, of course, Steel Talons, they don't have quite the same infantry options as the other players, so we may not be seeing too much infantry-based play, and we'll have to see exactly what MasterLeaf has planned for us. He has kind of switched into Titans, and he could just be going straight Tier 3, getting railguns, and then doing some sort of railgun accelerators, adaptive armor sort of combo with Titans and potentially Mammoth tanks, but let's not count on Mammoth tanks as they aren't that common. Railguns is most likely what's going to be started here. There's the laser fence. MasterLeaf does not want to lose this. At the same time, he may be looking to try to shut down the 3rd expansion of State of the Union. We'll have to see how that's going to end up working out for him. And State of the Union, he's staying fairly active, but he's not going out on the harass. He's not being particularly aggressive. MasterLeaf is Currently not noticing the MCV there. He gets some nice shots off. They almost impact, but of course, with the projectile-type weapon that pit bulls do indeed have, you've got a couple of seconds, depending on the distance, for your MCV to go ahead and pack up. So good control there from State of the Union. Won't be taking any unnecessary damage. Airfield is now out. There's the scan for State of the Union. What did he actually see? Well, he didn't actually see the tech. He didn't see the MCV. He does see, if he's paying attention, he sees that mammoth tank, absolutely, but he doesn't see railguns. So he knows that it's tier 3, but he also can infer, again, because it's Steel Talons, that he's probably going to be getting railguns. You just would not go tier 3 and not get railguns. That would be so bizarre. Also going to be calling in the Orca Strike. Will be doing a little bit of damage to those harvesters. Yep, we'll be doing damage to at least one, maybe even getting some splash on the other ones, which is a little bit unfortunate there for MasterLeaf, but a good choice there by State of the Union to go for that. Not exactly, you know, crazy amazing play, as it is just a support power. And MasterLeaf, he's going to be forced to pull this harvester off the line, but these pit bulls are going to be sacrificing themselves as their finishes up railgun. So if State of the Union was paying attention, which he probably was, he's going to know that that's on the way. He's going to know that he's got some units out in the middle of the map, kind of looking to pressure, but he doesn't know exactly how many mammoth tanks are heading his way. He does have predator tanks, and oh my gosh, check out that status bar. Railguns is so far away from finishing for State of the Union. This very well could be GG right here once these mammoth tanks start rolling. 3 Titans also being packed up with this army. Now, it's going to be partially coming down to these body blocks, and actually to the sonic emitters as well. If we get some great splash damage shots off, this could potentially be changing things up, but State of the Union basically just wants to hold out as long as he can and buy as much time as possible for those railguns of his own to finish, because until that happens, his predator tanks are not nearly as effective as they could be. MasterLeaf starting to roll more and more armor towards this location, and State of the Union may just simply be overwhelmed at this point. He dropped down that barracks, and he's kind of using it to force a split among MasterLeaf's army, and actually, here comes Shockwave Artillery, but look at that adaptive armor being activated, allowing MasterLeaf to escape with the majority of his units out of that EMP, not taking a tremendous amount of damage, and even though they do reduce the rate of fire, he is, of course, going to be able to still be hitting back and not get locked down completely by that EMP. Now, Zone Troopers are now out, which is a really great choice for State of the Union, but he's having to spend so much money on this defense. He's taking so much damage from the railguns of his opponent while not having railguns of his own to counteract that, and he's starting to push this back. And will that be enough? He's got his third refinery base established, excuse me. He does have 1 harvester on the line, and now he's got railguns of his own. He's beaten back the armor of MasterLeaf, and MasterLeaf doesn't have a ton going on in terms of economy, in terms of an advantage or any sort of economy advantage over State of the Union. It looks like he went for the sell-off. Where's actually the engineer? I'm not 100% sure. Okay, the engineer is actually here. It could be getting picked up by hammerheads or something like that to try to go for some sort of sneaky tactic. But MasterLeaf, he's going a little bit all in, just with the fact that he's already maxed out his tech for the most part. He's not getting a third base behind this, which means if he doesn't win in the next couple of minutes, that MCV cell is going to become extremely awkward because he won't have any way to expand. And then, of course, it'll just kind of be like, okay, if you have to rebuild the MCV, then was it even really worth it to sell it off? Maybe, maybe not. State of the Union, he's mounted the defense, but with no adaptive armor. Oh, he's trying to back out of that Shockwave Artillery. We'll have to see how much the RNG is favoring either one of these players. 3 mammoth tanks getting caught out in the open. 1 goes down, a second goes down, the third is going to be getting eliminated. And that 3 mammoth tank advantage that just kind of swung into MasterLeaf's favor could be enough to help him win this game. Now, is there any additional support? Potentially, it's just Firehawks for now, which will help him clear the skies against things like hammerheads, but currently MasterLeaf doesn't have any hammerheads on the ground, so that's not, or in the air, so that's not too much of a problem. However, they will be absorbing a couple of shots from those mammoth tanks, but these mammoth tanks aren't actually in the battle, so that doesn't even matter. Hammerhead's now getting rolled up to this location, and MasterLeaf is going to be able to clean up that one last mammoth tank before getting pushed away for good. And this hammerhead, you know, it's going to be super annoying, but it's not actually going to be doing that much damage. And AP ammo was never purchased by MasterLeaf. He could be purchasing it now. He's not even got that on the way. He could very well be producing an MCV, but he hasn't done too much to herd off these harvesters and to really shut down that economy that State of the Union has started to get rolling. But State of the Union, he doesn't have a huge advantage just yet. He hasn't been able to harvest too terribly much of that field, but it's much, much better than the long-distance harvesting that MasterLeaf has going on. No, it doesn't look like that was an extra MCV. It looks like it's just more mammoth tanks coming out from MasterLeaf, but he's basically out of money at this point. He may be trying to get some sort of an advantage by landing an engineer in the back, potentially capping the crane, although he may want to go for a, well, no, we've got laser fences on both of those higher value structures. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for MasterLeaf to really make something happen. Oh, goodbye, engineers. Wow, that zoom was actually a little bit too close in. But State of the Union is going to be very excited about that. Those hammerheads will survive at least for now, and MasterLeaf could just be getting overwhelmed in this game. State of the Union, he's played it out pretty slow, pretty steady, but also very wisely. He hasn't been throwing away units when he doesn't have to. He has been playing quite passive and quite defensive, allowing MasterLeaf to be the aggressor, but that's ended up working out pretty well for him because MasterLeaf, he had a timing, but he wasn't able to make it work. And now, I mean, the long-distance harvesting is going to continue. MasterLeaf needs to make sure that he scares this mammoth tank completely away. Well, he actually does pull back his harvester, so he doesn't take too much damage. Good on MasterLeaf for that. Now, State of the Union, he's starting to move out. Does he actually have enough? I think that's like 6 mammoth tanks. No, 7 on this side of the map, of course, and number 8 is over here, but he's not going to be a part of this battle. And I don't know if that's going to be actually enough to hold off MasterLeaf. Of course, MasterLeaf, he's going to have the closer reinforcements. He's also, actually, this shockwave artillery could just make the difference in this game. Of course, with the adaptive armor, the EMP isn't going to be affecting these guys, but what is the reduced rate of fire? It's like 30% or something like that. So these mammoth tanks for MasterLeaf are going to be firing a fair bit more slowly, but it is going to be down 2-2, and that additional armor is helping out quite a bit. Now a third mammoth tank rolling up and a fourth for State of the Union. He may be able to just push this back, and not often do you actually get to see Railgun Mammoth versus Railgun Mammoth, and MasterLeaf, I'm guessing, just tapped out there, as I don't think anything else too crazy was going on. But State of the Union, it looks like, will be going up 1-0 in this best of 7, but can he actually make things happen? In a best of 7, the first game is not always indicative of the rest of the series. Both of these players are quite good. Both of these players can indeed take games off of each other. So let's jump, which takes us to Tournament Rift. Of course, a classic map, but on the left side as the pink marked of Kane. The man who's down 0-1, it's MasterLeaf. And on the right side as the orange screen, this is State of the Union. He's orange, he is playing that screen. And of course that means we're not going to see the descent rush, or we most likely will not. Now, marked of Kane, of course we've got all of them EMPs. So potentially we'll be seeing some lovely EMP play coming out from MasterLeaf today, but we shall see. You know, there's no guarantees, but I am always excited to see some great EMP play. Now again, both of these players most likely going to be opening up fairly standard. It is a best of 7. It's not for any sort of, you know, prize or anything. It's just for the bragging rights, the glory of being able to say that you beat the other player in a best of 7. But I really don't expect any shenanigans in Game 2. Again, both of these players pretty straightforward. Now, if this had been Traveler 59, we could have been expecting something a little bit different from MasterLeaf. But both of these players, I would suspect, not going to be looking to do anything too crazy. And MasterLeaf at this point is probably pretty certain... Oh, he might just EMP the drone platform. That would be so annoying. He might just sort of assume that his opponent is not going to be going for anything too crazy as Scrin. He's like, well, I haven't seen any descent, so I think I'm going to be okay in that respect. Now, he may also just EMP either like the War Factory or the Refinery, one of those two things, to try to lock stuff down, or he may have already done that. There's the EMP on the Harvester, a good choice also. Just going to be eliminating one of those Harvesters from being able to harvest. At the same time, MasterLeaf should be adding on that 4th Harvester, potentially the 5th and the 6th as well. Also drop down enough power plants to make sure that he can expand without having to worry about that low power mode. And I mean, Rift does have a reasonable expand distance for the MCV to go. As you can see, State of the Union, he's heading to the middle field. But I mean, it's a reasonable distance, so it is generally better Although there's the redeploy, I guess MasterLeaf, wow, he must be wanting to do something to punish this drone ship moving to the middle at least a little bit here. He has decided to redeploy his MCV really quite close. I mean, sometimes if it's here, then you can be like, okay, they're going to base creep down there a little bit. Well, not a huge amount, but, you know, a little. But he's redeployed for something pretty specific. Okay, he drops down a second war factory. And is this actually in range of the buzzer? No, it is not. So that buzzer for State of the Union doesn't actually know that this is a second war factory getting dropped down. Is it going to be a power plant and a sell-off? No, it's the operations center and then the sell-off. Of course, he can now get upgraded power plants and also dozer blades, which is going to be very important in that he's going for those Scorpion tanks. Now, this has, I think, officially been scouted. No, technically, it's just barely not been scouted by that buzzer from State of the Union. But MasterLeaf, yeah, he saw the move to the middle, and he was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Dual War Factory all in. And it may very well be able to work. Is he actually going? He is going for dozer blades. He hasn't built any flame tanks just yet, I don't think. And the engineer along the south is going to be looking to secure one of these spikes, which will be quite nice for MasterLeaf. He's going to be able to lock that down. And does he actually keep the operations center after getting dozer blades? I'm not 100% sure. Of course, he can go for flame tanks if he wants, but oh, wait a second, no, he's Marked of Kane. That's right, he doesn't actually get flame tanks. I forgot about that. So yeah, actually, there's not a whole lot else he can go for with that operations center unless he rebuilds his MCV. And the engineer may very well have gotten taken out. Very unfortunate there for MasterLeaf. This is a fair amount of Scorpion tanks and a good response here from State of the Union. Those dozer blades finishing up pretty much just in time, and those Scorpions are looking very healthy considering the amount of distance that they just ran over. Now, of course, there's no EMP coils on these buggies, and there's no Awakened squads mixed in with this army either to help him deal with these vehicles. So no EMPs are going to be a factor in this engagement. However, that Devour tank almost getting eliminated. It hasn't had an opportunity to charge up on that Tiberium, so the damage output isn't going to be as crazy as it could be. There's still a really healthy number of Scorpion tanks going to be put here on the front lines for MasterLeaf. We do, of course, have the Tier 2 down for State of the Union, but is he going to be able to hold on to it for too much longer? He may just have to sell it off, but that means no more dev tanks, which is really quite bad, considering neither Gunwalkers nor Seeker tanks can go toe-to-toe with upgraded Scorpions, or really with Scorpions in general. You have to have overwhelming numbers, and this move from MasterLeaf, such a smart one with the MCV move to the expand for a sort of fake expand, drops down the second war factory, and State of the Union is not going to be too happy about this. He has done a fair amount of damage, but at this point, there's just too many Scorpion tanks out on the field. He would have to go for some sort of, like, MCV, or not MCV, but, like, War Factory or Refinery Cap to get himself back in this game. But as Strin, he was just like, nope, forget that, I am out. MasterLeaf going to be picking up a game. Unfortunately, we didn't see any epic EMPs, which would have been pretty great, but not meant to happen. However, game number 3 is going to be coming up. Things are starting to heat up. 1-1 is the score, and this best of 7 is looking more like a series and less like a clean sweep. Game number 3, let's jump right in. Which takes us to Twilight City. In the bottom side, we do have as the purple, once again Marked of Kane, it is MasterLeaf. And in the north as the red, what is he? He's some sort of Nod faction. He may very well just be standard Nod. He's not Marked of Kane. He is State of the Union. The score is 1-1. This is a best of 7, and it looks like he is Vanilla Nod versus Marked of Kane. Now, of course, Vanilla Nod, they've got some exciting things called flame tanks and laser capacitors, which are sadly lacking for Marked of Kane. Of course, Marked of Kane does have supercharged particle beams, which means their shredder turrets are quite good, and also on top of that, their infantry can be quite good in the late game, but their Scorpion tanks are quite terrible. EMPs, of course, can make up for that in the early and mid game, but in the late game, if State of the Union wants to go for some sort of spammy Scorpion tank style, he can indeed do that. His laser capacitors allow him to do that. Bike Buggy is a viable option for both factions as well, and, you know, the rules are kind of open here. It's a 1-1, and at this point, it's a little bit more common to see something a little bit shenaniganry, a little bit more shenaniganry coming out from either one of these players. Now, as you can see, it's going to be a Harvester out of State of the Union, but check out these bikes coming out for MasterLeaf. If he waits for 4, then this is definitely going to be some sort of I need to do damage. He is waiting for 4. 1 can be a scout. 2 can be a weird scout. 3 is like, all right, I'm starting to, need to do damage with these. I pretty much want to get a harvester kill. 4 and 5, this is actually quite a commitment from MasterLeaf this early on. Oh man, if State of the Union defends really well. All right, the EMPs are locking down one buggy. This is a good start for MasterLeaf. The repeat EMPs are what he needs to keep these Awakened squads alive until the bikes do arrive. And at this point, State of the Union is like, uh-oh, that's 2 bikes. How many more do you have on the way? You've got Awakened squads already basically inside of my base. And this is where things could start to get really hairy here for State of the Union. Now, MasterLeaf, again, these Awakened squads allow him so much freedom and allow him to do so many different things, but not if he loses them all, which was what just happened. So suddenly, MasterLeaf, these bikes are a little bit delayed considering that they had to kill off the buggy. They took a little bit of time to get here, and State of the Union has now been able to get up his own bikes, and on top of that, he's had that harvester out for significantly longer. Again, and actually, I think he may be out. Nope, same number of harvesters, but the harvesters have been out for longer for State of the Union. So MasterLeaf, he's put himself at a bit of a deficit. Now, forcing out the Shredder turret is quite nice, but there's the sell-off from State of the Union. Actually, if this power plant gets sniped off, that'll be MasterLeaf coming pretty close to making this worth it, but it doesn't actually get sniped. The MCV isn't delayed too terribly much. And MasterLeaf, he may have put himself in a somewhat poor position. He's not necessarily in an unwinnable position, as again, EMPs can end up solving that problem for MasterLeaf. Both of these players, by the way, did grab both of their Tiberium spikes, as you can see, so they're going to be doing that. He didn't, skimp out on the Tib spikes. It's not like he's down 2 spikes and just didn't get any of that extra eco at all. But Bike Buggy, Dual War Factory, MasterLeaf, this isn't quite cheese, but this is certainly a high aggro build, and actually gets spotted basically immediately. Gonna double check. Yeah, State of the Union definitely had vision of that. He's got the engineer in his vision now. And, okay, engineers, or bikes rather, starting to get picked off from both sides. It looks like MasterLeaf may be losing a little bit more there than he would have liked. But MasterLeaf being pretty cheeky, I don't know, maybe this was played late for him or something. He wants to go to bed. But he's actually going to be transitioning into Scorpion tanks. Also, we need to keep an eye on this engineer, if at all possible, to try to keep an eye on where it goes. Does it just go for the Tib spike, which is a little bit safer of a cap? Does he try to do something risky, like go in for the buildings? Now, there's the operations center. There's no MCV cell yet, but the second war factory up here can be indicative of that. He's actually keeping his MCV around for a little while, so he may just be looking to get up dozer blades, but of course, oh no, this is not good. MasterLeaf, he's got no operations center. He's not going for a fake out. He's not selling one of the war factories, and I'm assuming that engineer just got cleaned up, so MasterLeaf is going to be a little bit sad about that. As there's the Awakened squad, which probably was trying to guard that engineer. Unfortunately for MasterLeaf, yeah, it looks like he ended up losing that engineer. The MCV is still here, and that has been spotted by MasterLeaf. Bike Buggy is kind of the mobile harassment force, but of course, if it gets caught out of position by some of the Scorpion tanks from a State of the Union, then that can be a little bit, well, maybe not game-ending, but that can do a lot of damage. Alright, State of the Union, he's going to have to deal with these Scorpion tanks coming out from MasterLeaf. He still hasn't sold off his MCV. He's keeping it around at least for now. Now, repairs for State of the Union are all the way back at his main base, and that's also where reinforcements are coming from. Dozer Blade's not quite finished up. Once they do finish up, that'll be the advantage that he may need to go ahead and push MasterLeaf back in this game. Laser fencing also going down. More Scorpion tanks pumping out for MasterLeaf, and he's also not going to be rebuilding his MCV, selling any of the war factories, nothing like that. However, a couple of rocket troopers, maybe even just hand of nods to block off some of these Scorpion tanks, would be beneficial for State of the Union. I don't think he has that much cash at this point in this game, which is a little bit unfortunate for State of the Union. MasterLeaf starting to push forward. He's making some headway. I don't think he has too much Bike Buggy to go for the counterattack, but a counterattack from either player could be devastating, potentially a little bit more devastating for MasterLeaf. But State of the Union, he is taking quite a bit of damage on his MCV. Can he actually hold this attack off? Scorpion tanks are stacking quite nicely for MasterLeaf. They've got a pretty good concave working out for them. And State of the Union, he's getting pushed back further and further. The Conyard is absorbing quite a few shots, but a lot of the Scorpion tanks that are taking shots at the Conyard aren't actually on the front line, so those aren't shots being missed by these Scorpion tanks from MasterLeaf. They're not shots that would have otherwise impacted on this Scorpion force. Still dual war factory from State of the Union, but as, of course, he gets closer and closer to those war factories, repairs become a bit more of a problem for MasterLeaf, and also the much closer reinforcement paths for State of the Union also become a bigger problem. Now, State of the Union might, at this point, try to draft up a barracks, try to get out an engineer to get the insta-heal on that MCV, but MasterLeaf is splitting up his Scorpion tanks, which can be a good and a bad thing. This can mean that he's going to be doing damage in 2 places at once, but it also means that one of his groups of Scorpion tanks can get split up and destroyed. Oh, one of these, the power plant may just go down, and that may be enough to push State of the Union into a low power state. No, it doesn't look like it. He's still got 2 more power plants plus the MCV. I don't think that's going to be having his production times just yet, but losing that 1 power plant is, of course, very, very annoying. MasterLeaf hasn't really taken any damage, but as this main field dries up, State of the Union actually able to get a refinery down on this natural field, which means his economy is going to suddenly start to boost up a fair bit. He may be able to afford just straight up more Scorpion tanks than his opponent. The long-distance harvesting, of course, is not optimal, but it is the good way to go in this situation because some TIB is better than none. MasterLeaf doing damage when and where he can. Definitely a good choice. Oh, actually, that harvester getting locked down a little bit there. Picking off his TIB spike is going to be very, very annoying, but unfortunately for MasterLeaf, he doesn't have any bikes still around, which of course means that he can't pick off some of these harvesters for State of the Union. A couple of those move command Scorpion tanks will be getting eliminated, and one more is going to be given a chase. Will he actually chase all the way and die? No, it doesn't look like it. One more shot could end up sealing the deal for that Scorpion tank. Repairs on this army is going to be very important for both players, and again, no stealth detection for MasterLeaf means that these harvesters are going to go relatively unharmed, except for when they're docking, and this guy's almost unloaded all of his Tiberium anyway, so it's not going to be that big of a deal if he did get sniped down. MasterLeaf, on the other hand, starting to stretch out State of the Union, force State of the Union to micro in 2 different areas, to control armies in 2 different locations. Still 2 war factories, still no good harvesting coming out for MasterLeaf. State of the Union starting to get a bit of harvesters sacking up, starting to actually get some of that economy rolling, but can he actually stabilize? He's got Scorpion tanks pressing in from multiple directions. Can he deal with the pressure? For now, he's dealing with it all right. He's taking some minor damage, some annoyances from MasterLeaf. If MasterLeaf can strike down one of the refineries on this new field, that would be a pretty big deal. But State of the Union, he's starting to stabilize. He's starting to get in a really comfortable position. He's held off attacks on pretty much all of the fronts where MasterLeaf is attacking, and MasterLeaf may just be out of this game. I mean, he's got basically no Tiberium near to him, and the Hand of Nod even does go down potentially for just rocket troopers, as the MCV is basically back up to full HP anyway, so he doesn't need the engineers for that. And we may just see a bit of salvaging of this main base, maybe sell off one of the war factories, maybe sell off one of the power plants to be in a little bit more of a defensible position, since MasterLeaf at this point, he's still all in. He's got no follow-up, he's got no good options behind this. He would have to rebuild the MCV, but this last swell of Scorpion tanks, will it actually be enough? We may end up seeing some buildings block down some of these units for MasterLeaf. A couple of these harvesters will be getting focused down as they try to refine this Tiberium, which is the best choice for MasterLeaf. Almost better than eliminating the Scorpion tanks is just denying those full HP, full load of Tiberium harvesters right as they're out to be refining all of that glorious, glorious Tiberium. And State of the Union, can he hold on? MasterLeaf is pushing further and further forward. He's actually forced to sell off of that MCV, so very unfortunate there for State of the Union. He may just be forced to sell off this stuff back at home so that he can afford more and more Scorpion tanks out on the front lines. We'll have to see. Now, MasterLeaf is starting to overwhelm the forces of State of the Union. State of the Union does still have something left in the backfield. He's got a little bit left over back there, some infrastructure, some structures, but Scorpion tanks get eliminated one by one. In State of the Union, he simply does not have the numbers. There's the sell-off. MasterLeaf has done it. The fire sale is going to signal the end of the game for State of the Union. And wow, that all in from MasterLeaf, stretching out to the 10, almost 11-minute mark in this game. MasterLeaf not able to make the all-in happen fast enough, and Scorpion tank all-in is not something that you see very often. Nod mirrors, it's more likely going to be a bike buggy all-in, something that hits a little bit sooner, but no, Scorpion tank kind of stretching out into like that natural expansion for State of the Union. Took a long time for him to get there, but in the end, I mean, the extra $6,000 that he spent on those refineries, I guess it just was not enough. He didn't have enough time to get that money, or at least not enough time to spend it. As you can see, MasterLeaf really petering off down about the 9-minute mark. But game number 2 went to MasterLeaf. Game number 3 also going to MasterLeaf. Game number 4, which way is that going to go? MasterLeaf up 2-1 in this best of 7 State of the Union. Can he start to bring things back, maybe even it up 2-2? We shall see in game number 4. Which takes us to Twisted Arena and pits our Northernly Steel Talons player, MasterLeaf, who is up 2-1 in this best of 7 against our Southern Traveler 59 player, State of the Union. He's got that cyan color. Is he going for the 5 and or 6 Descent Rush? Well, it's very likely. He's Traveler 59. This is a pretty good way to open. There's the stasis chamber, however you would like to pronounce it, and Fast Legs Advanced Articulators is going to be on the way. Now, MasterLeaf, this is random. He has no idea that this is coming just yet. Now we're going to watch a little bit here as MasterLeaf. Oh, actually, State of the Union. This is a little bit dangerous for State of the Union. There is actually going to be the... Oh, that reveal. That reveal. MasterLeaf sees it in more than enough time. As you can see, he's down to about $3.5 grand. He does indeed have that refinery up. And... oh, State of the Union, he doesn't know he's up against Steel Talons. Wolverines are, of course, the best option to hold this off. Now, Wolverines are most likely going to be popping out pretty much immediately, and on top of that, he can go ahead and drop down some of those watchtowers once State of the Union gets close. Now, State of the Union, pretty much his best option in this case is to just skirt by all of the defenses and go for the Harvester kill. If he gets a Harvester kill, it can be worth it. Now, of course, this is a pretty heavy investment from State of the Union. Delays his economy by quite a bit. There's the watchtower as well, but he's staying to fight. That's a bad idea. He's not going to be able to get any damage done in that case. Ooh, he's got 2 about half health descent squads left. And look at that, those 2 harvesters. Third one is on the line. 1 Wolverine, 1 watchtower for MasterLeaf. Such a good hold from MasterLeaf. And State of the Union, he's going to be feeling the burn. He's got 2 harvesters out on the field, but that's not going to be anything to match what MasterLeaf has got going. MasterLeaf drops down the extra power plant, and of course, he's going to be moving out. Now, if this MCV gets caught and takes a lot of damage, no, it doesn't take hardly any damage at all. A nice deploy there from MasterLeaf. He doesn't have a whole lot of other places on the map to be looking, so that means that, of course, his deployment was quite quick, and he was able to kind of side skirt a lot of that damage. Of course, State of the Union, he's not out of it yet. He's still got lots of opportunities, and by lots, I mean he's still got a chance to take this game. But it could be one of those games where we just see Titans start to get rolling. We start to see that big swell of armor units from our GDI player, and then suddenly everything is at the front door of your opponent's natural base, and GG gets called. Now, Twisted Arena, of course, we do have the blue tib in the sides, and we do also have this field down here, but similar to Tournament Decision, we tend to see the players go for kind of the closer by natural expansion, and then the third green field basically never gets taken. I've never seen it get taken in this case, and a couple of times on Decision, you know, maybe about a dozen times in all of the games I've seen on that map, and this map is, of course, much, much newer, but also going to be packing along a rig. So MasterLeaf, he's bringing along the Hammerheads. Of course, he's most likely got AP ammo on the way, because number 1, oh, actually, his Lightning Spike spots this great play here by State of the Union, going to be annoying that MCV so much. Because number 1 thing that's really good versus Scrin is gun damage. Just gun damage in general. So AP ammo is pretty much never a bad option against a Scrin player. Oh, look at that. He even forces out a plasma missile battery, so State of the Union is going to be very upset about that. Oh! And he actually sells off the airfield. Is this a successful, like, mind game? I don't know. He's only forced out 1 plasma missile battery, so it's not a huge overreaction, at least not just yet, from State of the Union. It's not like he's dropping down a bunch of plasma missile batteries trying to do something crazy. But where are the units? Okay, so he rebuilds the airfield. I have no idea what MasterLeaf is doing. If he's doing just like crazy mind games, I was expecting a lot of Wolverines to start coming out. Wolverines and Hammerheads. No, he's going dual airfield Orca. Again, this is kind of a weird game that we're seeing out of MasterLeaf. Not stuff that you see very often is like this almost base push MCV move but then stop and dual airfield Orca behind it. Now, of course, dual airfield Orca can be so powerful. You can pick off a number of harvesters, and with these hammerheads rolling all around you... Oh, that's annoying. Both of the rigs actually got caught by that. A nice move there by State of the Union. That temporal wormhole going to be kind of delaying the actual damage output that those rigs could do, and also catches both of the hammerheads. So that actually was a pretty darn good temporal wormhole. Locked in both of those rigs, able to eliminate them. And now the MCV is forced to pull back. This is such an awkward position for MasterLeaf. He does have 7 Orcas currently out on the field. Number 8 just gets pulled up. And can he control well enough? We'll have to see. Now, these 8 Orcas could be picking off quite a few harvesters, and we'll have to see. Now, State of the Union, he does have the potential to drop down that lightning spike. He does have something queued up. Actually, it is a plasma missile battery. A good choice there. Goodbye, number 1 power plant. That's enough to set him into low power mode. His second power plant gets eliminated as well, and that's going to be forcing a lot of power micro to come out from State of the Union. Also going to be bringing down that lightning spike. And actually, MasterLeaf, he could be doing more damage. He may be going for the Annihilator Tripod. No, he's not actually going for that with the Orcas. I think he's trying to call in some sort of an Orca strike on top of it. The Watchtower also going to be staving off this Annihilator Tripod a little bit here, and the Barracks is a good opportunity or a good idea to block off that MCV, prevent the Annihilator Tripod from really getting too much closer to that MCV. And I guess that MasterLeaf was just out of rockets at that point. I don't know, maybe he didn't actually get hard points. No, he never upgraded hard points, so he has limited rockets. Well, he doesn't have very many rockets, just straight up. And one more power plant does go down, but it's not enough. And actually, 1, 2, 3, and 4 Orcas do go down. Only 3 remain for MasterLeaf. He may just be forced to sell off one of those airfields. Very unfortunate for him. There it goes. That was a lot of Orcas. MasterLeaf, he's trying to pull out the moves, but they're not working. Now, of course, it was a failed descent rush for State of the Union, so his expansion is slower. He's had to rebuild power plants, re-upgrade those power plants. That's lost money for State of the Union, but MasterLeaf, he's played out such a wonky game, and, I mean, he's packing that rig back up, going to be getting some repairs on it as well, and State of the Union, I don't know if he's in a good position, but he's certainly in an all-right position. He's in, like, a comparable position with MasterLeaf at this point. Can he actually just clean this game up right here, right now? Well, very well, maybe. Now, 1 Watchtower does get deployed. Also, we do have a couple of Titans out on the field, but these Annihilator Tripods, they can lock down so many armor units from an opponent. Gunwalkers on the front line, eliminating 2 Orcas basically immediately. Those are not value Orcas. They are not getting your money back. They are not on sale. They are primo price, and he is going to be paying for them. Every dollar on those Orcas was almost wasted. Probably not actually wasted, but almost wasted considering how little they were actually able to do. Another Orca goes down, only getting a couple of rockets off, and these... at the very least, this is forcing out a lot of extra buildings from MasterLeaf. He's tying up his main and his defense queues, just placing those buildings down to block things off. Now, economy from MasterLeaf, it's getting rolling the same for State of the Union. Now, State of the Union, he was much slower on the second refinery on the front lines, which means that, of course, at that natural expansion, he hasn't actually done very much harvesting. MasterLeaf may have actually done more harvesting. In fact, he has done more harvesting on his natural field, natural expansion, rather, than State of the Union has. One of these refineries should be getting sold off by MasterLeaf. He definitely doesn't need both of them on the front lines there. And State of the Union most likely going for it. Well, it looks like disc mechas. I was thinking it was going to be shard mechas, but I guess he's going discs at this point. And packing on some extra rocket troopers. Now, of course, as Steel Talons, you don't get the EMP grenades. You have to go up to that Space Command uplink if you want the ability to lock down your opponent and keep them in place. State of the Union, he's not going to have to worry about that too much. We'll have to see if these Annihilator... Oh, Devastator warships are out. This MCV is going to be taking so much damage. Any base defenses that try to go down for this sort of base push aren't going to be very effective. Disc Mecha going to be coming up to the front lines. A lot of the Gunwalkers just focusing down these infantry squads one by one. And as you can see, pretty much only the Titans do remain. All of the missile squads have basically been cleaned up, and the MCV has taken a fair amount of damage as well. Now the Titans are finally starting to work through some of those, and I guess MasterLeaf ends up leaving that game. I'm not actually sure. I think State of the Union took that. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I guess MasterLeaf could have won, but I'm like... That was kind of an abrupt ending, but I'm assuming MasterLeaf won. I don't know that anyone could make the claim that State of the Union was in an objectively worse position than MasterLeaf in that game. State of the Union actually played out the second half of that game quite well. Beginning sucked for him, but the second half of that was just so good for him. MasterLeaf dropping map number 4, going to be taking our score to 2-2. Now, both of these players, they have to take 2 more maps, but we're getting hairy, we're getting dicey. We're not getting hairy, the series is getting hairy. I don't know, maybe you're getting hairy. That sounds weird, but this series is getting a little bit close here as we do have the evening up of the score. Is it going to be going all the way to the ace match? Well, we're set for that right now, but of course both of these players are going to be looking to seal this out, but we're going to be going to 6 games at minimum. Game number 5 may be indicating who's going to win, or it may not. Let's find out, though. Game number 5 is on the way, and it's taking us to Tournament Arena. We just saw Twisted Arena. Now we're on the original, and as the blue screen in the top left side, we do have State of the Union, the man who just evened things up 2-2. And on the bottom right side, as the yellow screen, he is not screen, he's Traveler 59. It's MasterLeaf. Oh, man, he's going to be so happy. Now, of course, Tournament Arena is a nice and small... Oh, wait a second. That's only 1 Descent Squad. And also, he's cheating a little bit there. But that's only 1 Descent Squad. This could be a fake out. Oh, no. State of the Union. We're going to be switching over to his vision in a minute here. When does he actually... This may not actually fake him out at all. Uh-oh. All right, so here's what I think is going on. State of the Union, he knows MasterLeaf. Everybody knows that MasterLeaf loves his descent rushes, and State of the Union doesn't see it. Oh my gosh, that was so close. Now, State of the Union, I think, or MasterLeaf, I think, was trying to fake out State of the Union to make State of the Union think that a descent rush was on the way, when really there isn't one. He didn't drop the stasis chamber, he didn't get advanced articulators, none of those things happened. But if this disintegrator squad would have been seen early on, and MasterLeaf would have been able to eliminate the buzzer squad early enough of State of the Unions, then State of the Union would have seen the 1 buzzer, the 1 descent squad, and he maybe would have thought, uh-oh, is this a descent rush? MasterLeaf loved descent rush. Everybody knows that MasterLeaf loves descent rushes. He's going to descent rush me. He's Traveler 59. He has to be, you know. In this case, it didn't happen. Both of these players are going to be just fine. And one thing that's kind of a cutesy move, you saw State of the Union doing it here, and you also may have seen Bike Rush do it in a recent tournament, is you target down the blue tib of your opponent, which is kind of just a cutesy move. Isn't necessarily going to win the game? Well, no, because it's not doing any direct damage to your opponent. It's, of course, denying future income for your opponent, which is kind of always a weird investment to make, because you're investing a unit and time into that. You're going to be force firing on those crystals, trying to destroy the Tiberium. But does that actually make a difference in the game? Well, it's basically impossible to tell. Maybe if your opponent sends like 8 harvesters up there, and he basically puts his economy offline for, 2 minutes trying to get that blue tib, then maybe it's worth it. But what if your opponent never goes for that blue tib? Well, now you've wasted all of this APM. You've wasted maybe a unit or 2 sitting up in that corner for the whole game, trying to, deny your opponent's economy, when maybe it doesn't even make a difference. But of course, that's all just theorizing. We've got the second War Factory on the way. It's Seeker Tanks and Gunwalkers on the way for State of the Union. What sort of sneaky things is State of the Union going to be doing? State of the Union is Scren, correctly? Yeah, okay, he's just regular Scren. Just making sure that I didn't miss anything, nothing like that. But against the Traveler 59 of MasterLeaf, is it going to be just Cultist Wars? Well, there's the portal. Where's the stasis? Where's the stasis chamber? It could very well be on the way right now. You've got the nerve center already here. He, of course, also could end up going for that prodigy to try to get that. There's the stasis. Immediately, the portal starts building something that's most likely going to be those lovely cultists just for that mind control, which can be so annoying. Maybe the cultists end up going off to try to capture harvesters, run them back home. Maybe they just stay on the front lines. But MasterLeaf, oh, he grabs 1 Gunwalker, basically immediately gets passed back to State of the Union. And State of the Union, he's camping right on top of the production of his opponent. He's just focusing down these cultist squads immediately as they come out. Now, the Seeker Tanks from State of the Union are finally going to be arriving on the battlefield, but MasterLeaf already has an overwhelming number of Seekers at the front lines. Now, Lightning Spike also doing a little bit of damage there, and one of the cultist squads finally manages to escape, and MasterLeaf has held. It got a little bit messy there near the end. In State of the Union, he hates playing up against this mind control stuff. Actually, what is he doing? He got the stasis chamber of his own. Actually, that may just be for the support. Wait, what is it actually called? I don't actually remember what that is called for, I guess it's just stasis chamber. Yeah, I don't actually remember what the support power is called. However, MasterLeaf going to be... I mean, he's okay with just sacrificing these gunwalkers. He doesn't care about losing his opponent's gunwalkers to his opponent. Now, grabbing descent squads is also really just quite mean of MasterLeaf, but he is going to be controlling all of his opponent's units. State of the Union has been defeated, and at that point, State of the Union is just like, nope, not having any of that. And MasterLeaf, he goes up 3-2 against State of the Union. State of the Union is just that one game away from losing this series, or he's 2 games away from taking this series. All he has to do is win 2 games, which he's already seen him do. He can certainly do it again. Part of it's going to be coming down to faction selection in this next game. Random factions mean that you can get Traveler 59 versus Skren, and you can have something like MasterLeaf just capping your units, and then it's like, oh, well, all of my units are now under MasterLeaf control, so I'm just going to leave the game. But we shall see. Game number 6 is heading your way, and it's on Infested Coastline, spawning as the blue Traveler 59 on the left side. This is State of the Union. And as the orange GDI on the right side, it is MasterLeaf. Now, it's Infested Coastline, which I really dig this map. I always liked it as a 2v2 map, and as a 1v1 map, Predator is awesome, which makes this map even better, in my opinion. Of course, you got 1 tip spike for each player, and the water in the bottom has been dried up, kind of just made into this little bit of a river. Gosh, that river just looks good. Best river in Kane's Wrath. I don't know what all of these weird ripples are. At any rate, that's not really relevant. Traveler 59 versus GDI. Are we going to be seeing some mind control shenanigans for game number 6? Well, maybe, maybe not. State of the Union, maybe not as practiced with those mind control shenanigans as MasterLeaf is. So maybe he's going to be looking to play a bit of a different style. Of course, as you saw, no Descent Rush in the beginning. No shenanigans in that respect. He's just playing a little bit more standard. MasterLeaf, on the other hand, he's playing as GDI. For now, he's not going anything crazy. We're not seeing, you know, command post into dual, airfield into orcas, but this is match point. MasterLeaf, if he wins this game, that's it. The best of 7 is over. Personally, I always want to see it go to the ace match. I love watching more games, and between 2 great players like State of the Union and MasterLeaf, I am pretty much always going to be like, hey, you guys should play, you know, a best of 211, and then have it go to all 211 games, just because they would be fantastic matches. And, of course, that's not going to happen, because that's just absurd. But the point is, I'm always going to be rooting for the ace match. So hopefully, State of the Union takes this game, we get ourselves an ace match. But MasterLeaf, he, of course, wants to close things out. In State of the Union, there's so far no shenanigans coming out from him. Maybe I'm a little bit disappointed here, but State of the Union, you've got an opportunity here to do all of the terrible things that are done to you. You have an opportunity to do them to MasterLeaf. MasterLeaf, he's going to be scouting out that MCV timing. He's going to be like, all right, my expansion is just a little bit faster than yours. Not a huge deal. You're getting up to that 5-and-2 ratio. You're getting up that standard eco that we see pretty much every game. There's Harvester number 6. Most likely going to be sent immediately over to the expansion, the natural field for MasterLeaf. In State of the Union, he's expanded off towards the north, which MasterLeaf may very well be happy with. He may decide to go for some sort of a base push a little bit later on in this game, because, of course, he's got this full, nice Tiberium field, nice, you know, medium-sized Tiberium field, while State of the Union has this field, which probably has, like, a comparable amount of Tiberium, maybe a little bit less, but it's spread out so much further, and it's in a little bit more of an awkward position than kind of the more central field that we are seeing. And State of the Union, I mean, at this point, he definitely knows what's going on with MasterLeaf. He got the Buster Squad, the Scout. He also got the Gunwalker up inside of that. He was able to see, okay, you know, I know what's going on. Wait a second, let's talk about what's going on here. Look at that Tiberium just flowing water from it. That cannot be safe to drink. All right, we're not gonna focus on that too much. MasterLeaf, he's gonna be pretty happy about this. He's gonna be like, okay, you are nice and close. I can do some harassment. I can do all sorts of things to abuse that positioning. Tier 2 is indeed out. That nerve center getting dropped down by State of the Union. We got Corruptors out. So far, that's the only Tier 2 unit that's been coming out from State of the Union. Now, MasterLeaf, he's rolling with the Preds. He's got his MCV on the move. He is going to be going for a base push, and he's dropped down Tier 2. He's got Command Post on the way with that AP ammo. Currently researching. Watchtowers are going to be a little bit more powerful once that finishes up. And, of course, a lot of people know this. Maybe if you're new to the game, you don't know this, but I talked about this a little bit. I don't know how much I really explained it. Gun-type damage does so much damage to Seeker tanks, it's silly. It does so much damage to screen units and buildings in general, it's silly. AP ammo is going to be absolutely great here. It may not win the game for MasterLeaf, but it's going to be doing quite a bit of damage. The MCV, it's... Okay, is this like an... Okay, no, he backs it away. Some things that players have done in the past, just to give you an idea of why I was kind of hesitating there. Unpack the MCV right there. Sell it off. Immediate ENG, engineer cap into that drone platform. It can happen. It's happened before. Also, drop down a barracks right here. Try to go for the engineer cap that way. But MasterLeaf, he's not going to be doing that. Oh my gosh, he's dropping the armory right on the front lines. He's also going to be producing, I don't know what, probably rocket squads right onto the front lines. No, he's actually getting... Oh, he's getting EMP grenades and also grenadier squads. This is such a good idea from MasterLeaf. With that armory on the front line, he'll be able to replenish these grenadier squads. He'll be able to throw so many grenades. I mean, I guess he could be going for composite armor. And, I mean, if he goes for power packs, I'll be wondering what he's actually doing. I guess he could be going for Tier 3. But really, on the realistic options, the EMP grenade's going to be the unit, or the option for MasterLeaf. There it has been researched. Is he actually going to be locking anything down? There's one EMP. Locks that down. More EMPs getting thrown. A great move here by MasterLeaf. Going to be phasing both of those tripods is the response from State of the Union. And check all of that out. The EMPs, can they actually lock down this buzzer hive? No, they don't even need to. Locks it down at the last possible second. And more watchtowers getting thrown out here. Lots of Predator tanks to deal the damage to the buildings and the other units of State of the Union. But MasterLeaf, he's just going to be pulling away from these tripods until they actually just unphase. And can the EMPs actually be good enough from State of the Union, or from MasterLeaf rather? One EMP does fire off. A second EMP could be locking down the other tripod. MasterLeaf has been able to escape with the majority of his units and forces are going to be backing up to that war factor. This is such a crazy base push coming out here from MasterLeaf. In State of the Union, I just do not think he can hold off at this point. Of course, Traveler 59, maybe if he had Cultists out on the field, he would be able to do something, but this is just so many units coming out from MasterLeaf. I don't even know if Cultists would be enough, especially not at this point. It's just too little too late, and of course, more and more tripods are coming out, but again, tripods are good, but they're not good versus EMP, and MasterLeaf has so much EMP possibility on this army. He takes it. 4-2 is going to be the score. MasterLeaf sealing the deal. State of the Union will be going downtown in this random best of 7. And maybe some of it can be blamed on the factions. I'm 99% sure State of the Union did not want to get that Traveler 59, but MasterLeaf, he played that out very well. And kind of abusively, he knew going into that. He was like, oh my gosh, you got Traveler 59, you expanded towards my natural, the natural that I decided to take. Lol. Just rolls right up, drops down a bunch of EMPs, and the fast tech, relatively fast tech. It wasn't one base fast tech, it was off of that 2 base sort of play. He had already dropped down a refinery on the expansion before going for his Tier 3. But he just didn't have the units to cope with that. And to be fair, that is not something that happens very often. So it's not exactly like, oh, of course, this is, 2 Ref 5 Harvester expand on Rift. This is not something that you see very often. So State of the Union, maybe that was the first time he actually played against that sort of a play, but he fell to it, and MasterLeaf again takes the series 4-2. A good game coming out from these players. And good series overall, so GG goes down to both of them. Of course, a big congrats to MasterLeaf, but we all got extended out to State of the Union, fighting very well, and that will do it for this series. I hope you all very much enjoyed it, because I certainly did. Thank you all very much for watching, and this is Sybert, signing out.